A woman's psychology is more often guided by the heart than the mind, by instinct rather than logic, and this is her genius, but also her mystery. Carl Jung. There's a reason she says yes, but acts like she means no. Why she tells you she's fine when her silence is screaming. Why she tells you, I don't want a relationship, right before getting jealous when you talk to another woman. For centuries, men have wrestled with a simple yet maddening truth. Women often say the opposite of what they mean. Is it deception? Is it confusion? Or is there something much deeper, more ancient, and more psychological at play? Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, didn't just study the conscious mind. He dove into the realm of the unconscious, the shadow, the archetype, and the symbolic language of behavior. When applied to the female psyche, his insights crack open a truth that most men are too stunned or too hurt to see. This isn't about blame. This is about decoding. This is about understanding what lies beneath the veil of feminine language, how instinct, shadow repression, fear, and ancient feminine archetypes drive emotional contradiction. You're about to step into a world where the words spoken are just the surface of a deeper psychic ocean. You've been warned. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Part 1. The feminine instinct is not linear, it's symbolic. The male mind tends toward linear thinking. A says B, and B means C, cause and effect, logic, precision. But the feminine psyche is archetypally lunar, symbolic, cyclic, not linear. Jung wrote that the unconscious of a woman is far more in tune with the symbolic, emotional, and intuitive realm than that of a man. What does this mean practically? It means that when a woman speaks, especially under emotional stress or relational uncertainty, her words are less about rational communication and more about emotional signaling. She may not say what she feels directly. Instead, she speaks in metaphor, in hints, in tones. This isn't manipulation. It's instinct. It's the anima energy at work. And most men get caught trying to solve her like a logic puzzle instead of interpreting her like a poem. Part 2. Emotional truth versus verbal accuracy. Many women do not prioritize verbal accuracy the way men do. For a man, truth is typically factual. For a woman, truth is often emotional. If she felt hurt, that becomes the truth of the moment, even if her words don't match the event that triggered her. She may exaggerate, minimize, or contradict herself, not out of dishonesty, but because her emotions are shifting rapidly, and the words become a reflection of inner movement. In Jungian terms, the ego cannot fully dominate the emotional unconscious. Therefore, the truth of the moment may change, not because she is lying, but because she is emotionally flowing. When she says, I hate you, she may mean, I feel so hurt, I can't be near you. When she says, I'm fine, she may mean, I don't know how to ask for what I need without being vulnerable. Part 3. The fear of rejection is coded in her language. Jung taught that many behaviors are shadow reactions, instinctive defenses against pain. For many women, especially in dating or relationships, one of the greatest subconscious fears is rejection. To protect herself, a woman may say the opposite of what she wants. For example, she may tell a man she doesn't care if he leaves, but inwardly, she's terrified of abandonment. This contradiction is not random, it's protective. By pretending to be indifferent, she avoids vulnerability. But this creates chaos for men who take her words at face value. The result? Mixed signals, confusion, emotional whiplash. But the psychology underneath is primal. Protect the feminine core by hiding the true desire. Part 4. Anima possession and the saboteur within. Jung spoke of anima possession, when a man becomes controlled by the irrational emotional forces of the unconscious feminine within himself. But in women, this manifests differently. When a woman is possessed by the shadow elements of her own anima energy, she may sabotage love out of a deep fear of intimacy. She will say, I love you, and moments later, pick a fight. She will say, I want you, and then pull away coldly. These contradictions are signs that she is at war within herself. Her inner child wants closeness. Her wounded woman fears abandonment. Her words become battlegrounds for unresolved shadow conflicts, and the man becomes collateral damage. Part 5. Projection is the root of the confusion. When a woman projects her shadow onto a man, she may interpret his actions through the lens of her unresolved past. If she has been betrayed, she may accuse him of cheating, without evidence. If she has been abandoned, she may interpret a delayed text as emotional withdrawal. Her words in these moments don't reflect reality, they reflect trauma. Jungian projection distorts perception. She is not lying, she is seeing through a lens shaped by pain. Her words express not the man in front of her, but the man who hurt her years ago. Part 6. Feminine power is often indirect. In history, men had direct power, physical strength, war, law. Women, lacking physical dominance, evolved indirect strategies of influence, emotional intelligence, social signaling, language nuance. Jung noted that the feminine archetype includes the sorceress, the seductress, the mother, and the mystic, symbols of power through influence, not force. So when a woman says one thing and means another, she may be unconsciously practicing the art of indirect power. She tests, hints, withdraws, dramatizes, not because she's evil, but because her subconscious knows the direct route is not always safe. Her words are emotional currency. Her tone is strategy. Her silence is war. Part 7. Why men misinterpret female communication. Many men become emotionally damaged not because women are cruel, but because they interpret female communication through male logic. When she says, "Leave me alone," and he leaves, she cries that he abandoned her. When she says, "I don't care," and he moves on, she rages that he never fought for her. The disconnect is not just emotional, it's neurological. Studies show that men process language in one hemisphere of the brain, women use both. This biological difference supports Jung's insight. Women have more crosstalk between logic and emotion. So when she says something that sounds cold, she may still feel warmth inside. Her words aren't always meant to be instructions. They're often invitations to read between the lines. Part 8. Testing is a form of truth-seeking. When a woman tests you, she may say outrageous things. "I hate you. You're weak. You don't care about me." She may pick fights out of nowhere. This behavior is not always manipulation. Sometimes it's unconscious truth-seeking. She's trying to feel if you're strong enough to handle her shadow. If you collapse, she loses respect. If you stay calm and grounded, she feels safe. Jung taught that the shadow is always seeking integration, and in relationships, this often means triggering the other person to see how they react. A woman's tests are not just games, they are projections of inner chaos seeking containment. Part 9. Her no may be a disguised yes, and vice versa. In love, power, and intimacy, women sometimes say no, not because they truly mean it, but because saying yes would make them too vulnerable. In other cases, she says yes because she feels obligated, not because she wants to. Jung's model of the psyche shows that personas, masks we wear, often dominate our interactions. A woman's yes may be her nice girl persona, while her true feelings scream no, or her no may be her protective mask, while her soul is crying yes. This is why discernment matters more than literalism in emotional communication. The truth lies beneath the word. Part 10. How to respond to verbal contradiction. Jung never advocated for control, but for understanding. When dealing with verbal contradiction, your job isn't to punish or correct her. It's to see, to read energy, to listen not just to words, but tone, body language, timing. When she says, "I'm fine," and you feel she's not, ask gently. When she says, "I don't care," and you sense she's testing, don't react emotionally. Stay grounded. Jungian individuation means standing in your own center while others swirl in contradiction. Her feminine chaos doesn't have to shake your masculine clarity. Part 11. The hidden language of emotion. Carl Jung taught that much of our communication, especially in intimate relationships, happens on an unconscious level. For women, emotional truth often lives deeper than the words that come out of their mouths. This means that many of their verbal expressions are merely symbolic codes, a kind of emotional Morse code designed to signal vulnerability, fear, longing, or testing without fully exposing the inner world. When a woman says, "Do whatever you want," the unconscious meaning may actually be, "Please show me you care enough to not do this." Her language is protective camouflage. She has learned, through experience or observation, that stating needs directly can lead to shame, rejection, or ridicule. So she encodes her truth in passive statements, sarcasm, silence, or reversed meaning. The more emotionally immature a woman is, the more likely she is to speak through this cryptic language. To decode her, you must listen not just with logic, but with depth perception. Part 12. Trauma distorts verbal expression. Jung observed that the psyche seeks healing through expression, but trauma can twist that expression into confusion. For a traumatized woman, speech becomes a minefield. She may say the opposite of what she needs because her nervous system is in survival mode. If she was punished for vulnerability, she will cloak her desire in rejection. If she was shamed for expressing love, she will hide affection behind coldness. Her voice becomes a battleground between her inner child, who craves safety, and her protector parts, who fear betrayal. When a man hears this and takes it personally, he misses the point. The words are not really about him. They are echoes of a past still living inside her. Part 13. Emotional self-deception and female identity. Women, especially in modern society, are often trained to disconnect from their inner emotional truths in order to conform to cultural expectations. Jung would argue that many women are split between their conscious persona, the role they think they must play, and their true self, buried beneath layers of repression. This fragmentation can result in a woman saying things she doesn't fully believe, wanting things she won't admit, and acting out emotions she doesn't understand. It's not just men who are confused. Many women are confused by their own behavior. Why did I say that? Why did I push him away? The answer lies in the unconscious battle between false self and authentic feeling. Her words often betray her longing, not out of malice, but because she hasn't integrated her true self. Part 14. Passive aggressiveness as a defense mechanism. Passive aggressiveness is one of the most misunderstood forms of communication, and one of the most common among emotionally unregulated women. It's a Jungian defense strategy born from the repression of anger and need. A woman may not feel safe expressing her fury, so she says, "It's fine," while slamming the door. She may not dare to ask for affection directly, so she withholds affection until the man proves himself. This is not just immaturity. It's unconscious manipulation rooted in fear. Passive aggressiveness often replaces direct communication when emotional wounds remain unhealed. The less a woman has learned to own her emotions, the more her words will reflect shadow instead of truth. Part 15. The archetype of the seductress and her verbal contradictions. One of the oldest archetypes in Jungian psychology is the seductress, the feminine force of allure, mystery, and contradiction. She says, "I don't want you," while her body says, "Come closer." She mocks vulnerability but rewards emotional connection. She gives a taste of herself, then disappears. This archetype lives in many women unconsciously, especially in a society that rewards attention over depth. When a woman is unconsciously identified with the seductress archetype, she may communicate in riddles, contradictions, or illusions. She is not lying, she is performing, and her words are tools in that performance. Jung would say this isn't evil, it's symbolic. She is enacting a myth without knowing it. Part 16. Words as shields, not bridges. To the rational man, language is a bridge to understanding. But to the emotionally guarded woman, words are shields. When she says, "I don't need you," she's hiding the pain of feeling neglected. When she says, whatever, she's avoiding the vulnerability of asking for attention. Jung said that every persona serves a function to help us survive our environment. For many women, verbal shields are part of their persona armor. The more deeply wounded she is, the more protective her language becomes. Her words don't build intimacy, they prevent invasion. But ironically, this defense often creates the very distance she fears. Part 17. How Society Trains Women to Speak in Opposites. From an early age, many women are taught not to be too emotional, too needy, or too vulnerable. They're told not to ask for love too directly, not to cry too much, not to seem weak. As a result, they internalize the idea that their real feelings must be hidden or inverted. Jung would recognize this as a cultural repression of the feminine. So women say, "I'm not that into him," to friends when they're actually deeply in love. They ghost a man because they're scared of caring too much. They insult to mask affection. Society applauds this behavior as independence, but it's often just fear in disguise. A woman's verbal contradiction isn't always personal. It's the residue of social programming. Part 18. The fear of losing power in vulnerability. To love deeply is to risk being powerless. Jung saw that vulnerability is the threshold of transformation, but also the doorway to destruction if not handled with wisdom. Many women, having been hurt in love, learn that softness equals danger. So they adopt strength as a mask, often expressed through sarcasm, aloofness, or verbal contradiction. They say they want a man who listens, but shut down when he asks real questions. They say they want honesty, but punish the truth. This isn't hypocrisy, it's fear. The fear of losing control, the fear of being seen, the fear of needing someone who might walk away. Part 19. The anima-animus conflict within relationships. Jung's theory of anima and animus explains the internal masculine within women and the internal feminine within men. When these inner figures are undeveloped or wounded, communication becomes a battleground of projection. A woman with a wounded animus may speak aggressively, compete with her partner, or dismiss masculine strength. She might say she wants a strong man, but emotionally castrate him when he shows leadership. Her words contradict her desire because her inner masculine is at war. Likewise, a man with an undeveloped anima will misinterpret her emotional language and respond with cold logic. This clash results in verbal chaos, but its root lies in the inner world of each individual. Part 20. Why she doesn't know she's doing it. Here's the most disturbing truth of all. Most women don't realize they're speaking in contradiction. Jung taught that much of our behavior is driven by unconscious complexes. A woman may genuinely believe her words in the moment, even if they completely oppose her behavior. Emotional reasoning overrides factual logic. She may not know that she's lying to herself while lying to you. Her contradictions are not calculated, they're conditioned. She is not evil, she is emotionally fragmented. And until she integrates her shadow and heals her wounds, her mouth will betray her heart, and her heart will betray her soul.